is part 2 of the Heirlooms and Blooms Harvest Festival outside of the Botanic Gardens, and I just thought this was really cute. I dreamed I was a dragonfly hovering over a lily pad. I snatch a mosquito for my lunch. Satisfied. Isn't that cute?
Good job, bud.
Anyway, still really pretty out here, and there's a little wooden path where you have to crawl over some rocks and go through some woods and stuff like that and come out on the other side. My grandson just did that. And we're back walking through the botanic area. And of course there's also some lakes / ponds, really ponds here. And these look like a bunch of cottonwoods that they've got in a stand. And it tells about trees for urban environments, which originally Wyoming would not have had a lot of trees unless you're up in the mountains. And then mostly would have been pine trees, I would think. But anyway, we're on this pathway, and it has little cutouts along the edges of different symbols and animals, and looks like paw prints. Horseshoe.
Get back up there, Bill.
Of course, they could be standing for something completely different. And what we're doing is we're looking for the community gardens, which I've never actually been to the Botanic Community Gardens here in Cheyenne, so we're gonna go check that out. And I think I found it. And we didn't really ask any directions or anything. We were just on the hunt to see if we could find it. We didn't find it yesterday, and I think we finally have. So, and I do see the sign for it. And right there is the big
Community Garden.
This is the North Community Garden, so maybe they have different plots. So anyway, this is the Rotary Century Plaza sign with a bunch of little things along it. And we're going over to the community garden. So this says north, so maybe they have them in all directions, I'm not sure. But southern exposure for gardening is much better than northern. So it looks like they have this area with a chain and lock around it, so maybe you're not able to do anything in the during events or something. It looks like that they've already had some harvest here, but otherwise it looks like that you get kind of a small plot to grow on. So it must be that you get this area, which looks like about a 10 by 30 or 10 by 40 area maybe to grow in, which is a little bit, no, do not climb up there. So it does look like a little bit of space, but definitely would not be enough for me to grow on. So this one looks like it's a little bit wider and longer. So maybe 15 by 30 maybe. So it looks like they've got some ground cherries going on. That is what those are. And they've had some beans and things. But it looks like they've got some green beans waiting to be picked. But definitely not enough green beans to really fool with. I would plant some more green beans, I think. The soil looks pretty rich. Probably had some amendments put in it. And looks like they've done some harvesting of some potatoes. But again, I would probably grow more and use more of my compact method of growing things. Oh, and looks like we do have some, looks like some rutabagas down in here, or maybe some just really large white turnips that they've let go. I'm not real sure, but those are definitely a root crop. Looks more like rutabagas because they are very large. And that garden plot looks pretty nice. So we're going to walk around a little bit and see what we see. Looks like we got some celery there, which I'm going to be attempting celery next season. And looks like some banana peppers right there, or maybe some Hungarian peppers, Hungarian wax peppers. You really can't tell right off the bat. And here it looks like we've got some sort of squash, and it just kind of looks like bubbles on the plant. I'm not real sure what that squash variety is. I'd have to look it up. And they've got a couple of nice cabbages in there. If they don't harvest those soon, they will start splitting, because those are some really big cabbages. Looks like some spinach and kale. And their kale looks like a little bit different variety and a larger type than mine. Maybe some Swiss chard. They've got some tomatillos out there. And some green beans, but definitely would need more space for green beans. Just don't have enough. And they've got some new spinach coming up, so they've done a little bit of some fall planting. Oh, and looks like we've got a nice patty pan squash here. A lot larger than patty pans that I've seen in the past. So that one looks like it's a good 2 hands big, which is pretty good size. Got some other ones coming on. I see a couple more in there. So they've definitely got a nice little area of growing going on. We've got some zucchini over here in this plot, and looks like some cherry tomatoes they really need to pick. Looks like some larger tomatoes. One has fallen off, so definitely wouldn't want those to go to waste. Would want to pick those. And some of their zucchini looks like they've got some golden zucchini and some dark green zucchini and maybe some cocozelle. Very large. They would need to be picked. Their skins are already rigid, so you'd have to do something else with them. And their front area doesn't look like that they have or are growing very much. And I know that the rules are that you're supposed to keep things weeded and tidy. So that's looking a little weedy to me. But it's not a critique. It's just that they probably are busy and probably are working. Looks like some more golden zucchini in this plot. And it looks like yellow straight neck over here that has just gotten a little bit big. And they've got some eggplants and yellow pear tomatoes, some other tomatoes, and some kale. It's kind of a small area to be gardening in, probably about the size of the one that I'm sure that Suburban Homestead, Wyoming, Arizona does. I know she's got some unique flowers over there too. I'm not real sure those are real. I would have to get closer to look at them, but they don't look real to me. Anyway, nice little path through there. I wouldn't really do the path. That takes up too much room. I would use more space for growing. Got some netting here going on, so definitely some shade cloth. And this plot is definitely doing great. Looks like some of the squash is dying back a little bit. That's the same thing happening with mine right now. But I'm seeing loads and loads and loads of squash in here. Look at that. All over the place, in fact. Not sure what kind of squash that is. Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona might be able to tell me. And it looks like I got some Brussels sprouts over there, perhaps, or some cauliflower. Looks a lot like my cauliflower leaves, but a little bit more variegated, so could be Brussels sprouts. And this looks like a larger plot, so maybe this is somebody that's got a couple of plots going on, and that is a giant kale over there. That looks like Russian kale. And I do have some Russian kale, but I have not let mine get that large because I keep picking it. So you can let it get that big, but it kind of gets bitter after that gets that large, or you can just keep it plucked back. So loads and loads going on there. Looks like it's about 3 plots put together. And a lot of amendments on that soil if you look down in there. Lots of peppers through here. I see some acorn squash. So they're definitely putting all of their things together. So they're using some compact gardening method in here, but they do have things quite spaced apart. Looks like some Swiss chard there. Mine didn't get quite that large because we kept picking it. I see a pepper down in there that looks like it's ready. So they should be picking that soon. Some beans on the other side. And they've got their beans trellised, which is really good because you really want to get that space optimized by getting them trellised up. Beans, cucumbers, melons, trellis. Squash, do not trellis because they have roots all along the joints that they use. And we've got some sunflowers growing here. And a beautiful bee taking advantage of those sunflowers. And they probably have honeybees here in this area too, to help with the pollination that I don't have in my area. I have some bees that come in from a fellow who does some, and looks like we got some lovely onions here. So they definitely, that's another plot that they've got joined to theirs. So they've got 4 plots at least going on. So we've got what looks like just some vidalias maybe, or some walla wallas. But you want long season onions here in Wyoming, because we have not a long season, but long day, long day onions, because we have long days. We've got some beets up front. And look at this plot. We've got probably 3 plots put together on this one, and a lot of beets going on, and some, I'm not sure what's went to seed over there. It could be some radishes or something. More Swiss chard. This looks like the standard green Swiss chard. And they've got some fall gardening going on with some spinach here. Got a load of spinach and lots of beets coming on. I'm not real sure they'll have enough time to get beets in. And lettuces and things like that going on. And they've got a lot of zucchini in here as well. So they're maximizing their space. Another garden plot here. This looks like just one. Loads of beans. Looks like they got beans they need to pick. And some zucchini and squash in here. And beets and some lettuce. The soil looks like that it's just standard Wyoming soil. Needs some amendments probably. But they've still got a lot going on all throughout that area. I see some more, looks like ground cherries going on. And theirs are large and in charge. And maybe some tomatillos as well. In this garden plot, which looks like about 3 garden plots put together. If you can see, here's a nice large plot. And they've definitely got some nice tomato cages. Personally, I can't afford those tomato cages, because that would put me into being pointless at growing tomatoes, because the expense would be all in the cage. So I use a lot of methods where it costs very little. So we have what looks like some squash going on, some beets going on, some more tomatoes going on all throughout this area. And more tomatoes here. And orange tomatoes there, probably Jubilee tomatoes all throughout this area. So they've got a beautiful plot going on. Here's another plot. Give me your hand. Give me your hand. Had to take a pause while I grabbed the grandson. He was running around. It's a nice area for kids to run around, but you just don't want to let them go completely nuts. So we're over here close to where the Union Pacific 1242 is parked. So they do have that on the North Garden area. We're starting to get a little bit of rain, but it's not anything serious. Usually don't get real serious rain here. So anyway, got a little bit going on in this garden plot, but it looks like for the most part they just went into fall gardening. Got some carrots there. Looks like we got some, come on Bill, some dill. Still have some tomatoes over here, and this looks like more of a Roma variety. Some tomatoes here. And these kind of look like the Kellogg tomatoes. Bill, follow me, please. Now. Got some peppers going on. Oh, and some nice red onions. My onions didn't do anything this year. I ended up with a hailstorm that just damaged them and not enough time. But anyway, some more lettuce planted there. It looks like some spinach behind. Some sort of squash there. Mr. Bill! Now, this garden plot looks like that it might be at least 3 garden plots together, and is probably the prettiest one that I've seen so far. Loads of cabbages through there. Looks like I got red cabbages and white cabbages, and some beautiful, looks like Napa cabbage right through there. They've got some gorgeous lettuce, looks like red leaf, and some arugula, which looks like they got a little bit of going to seed bolting problem because it has been so warm. Some spinach through here, and looks like some radishes over there, and the carrots. I've got a whole row of carrots. Some beautiful cucumbers over there, some nice long burpless cucumbers.
Oh, they have Swiss chard over here that
Yeah, this plot right here is amazing, and they're 3 plots put together, so they've purchased 3 plots together, and this one by far is the nicest one I've seen.
Oh, there's one over there that has the rainbow Swiss chard, bigger than this one over here.
Yeah, and this obviously somebody will take a lot of time because they've got their compost bin in here. So look at that beautiful Swiss chard. That's what my daughter was just commenting on. Looks like white and red. And I see some red lettuce back there. The red lettuce we couldn't get to come up, Samantha. Look, they've got it.
Oh my god.
And it is beautiful.
Look at this carrot.
Yeah, the carrots are huge. I have gotten some big carrots, but not anything that size. So let's see if we can get a picture of that in there. Look at the size of that carrot right in there.
I like what they did for the cucumber thing. Maybe we
So
should do the
gorgeous.
same.
Going into a part 3.